And thank you to all who have attended this very important ceremony today. We gather to remember those who were lost on 9/11, the men and women in the towers, the first responders who ran toward danger. We gather to remember all of our military heroes who have perished, countries very far away fighting the war on terror. And we gather to remember all those who have gotten sick, have passed, and continue to feel the illnesses and the loss associated with 9/11. You know, we come together feeling this great loss and feeling the pain and embracing the other families of those who have lost loved ones. We all know what it feels to lose a loved one, myself included. But I can't imagine losing a loved one to terror. And that's one of the many reasons why it's so important for us to be here. And it's so important to show the resolve of our nation, our town, and our community. It was a number of years ago that Frank Haskell and Tom Smith and other members of the board came to the town of Oyster Bay and asked to build a small, modest monument that we could come to and visit, to remember. And Supervisor John Venditto said, "Thank you, but no, that's not enough." And because of the vision and the resolve and the compassion of our supervisor, the other members of the Oyster Bay Town Board, the employees of the town board, the employees of the town of Oyster Bay and the Parks Department, this incredible symbol has been built for all to enjoy. They all came together to build something that every car going by, every person walking by in the park, out of the park, can enjoy. An icon of the strength of our nation and the resolve in each one of our hearts. And I thank you all for making this possible. And I know Tom Smith and Frank Haskell and all the board members of this wonderful organization greatly appreciate the efforts of our supervisor and our town. And I'm going to quote something that John Venditto said on the 10th anniversary, and I apologize for using your line, John, but it stuck with me all this time because it really says something so important that we all feel. That on that fateful day, September 11, 2001, we looked into the eyes of pure evil for a full hour, the worst of the worst. But now, for 14 years following, we have looked into the eyes of the best of the best. Fire department, police, first responders, construction workers, caring communities, community organizations, businesses who have stepped up and have proven what it truly means to be an American. And I'm so proud to stand with each and every one of you who have helped, who have prayed, who have donated, who have built, and continue to show compassion for others. So we stand together today to honor those we have lost. And these Freedom Towers and the 9/11 Military Monument continues to be an icon, a symbol of freedom, strength, and resolve for all of us to enjoy, to come and contemplate, and to be here on this day and every day, year after year. And 100 years from now, the Massapequa community will gather right here with the town of Oyster Bay and with all of the community leaders and our first responders to make sure that we never forget. Thank you so much for this opportunity and all that you have done. And I thank all the first responders, the government officials, the business community, because you are heroes all. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless America.
Very well said. Let's hear it for our Assemblyman Joe Saladino. We're still about, just under 2 minutes now. And we'll be ringing again. I need to check something. Very good. We're about a minute and a half out until we next toll the bell. Earlier we recognized all the branches of our armed forces. We recognized our police personnel, law enforcement, obviously our firefighters. You know, this is a bit awkward, but although I think most of us are probably going to raise our hand. Just raise your hand. I just want to look at the impact. Raise your hand if you lost a loved one or someone that you personally cared about on September 11th. Absolutely, keep them up. Absolutely amazing. There are very, very few hands that are not raised. All right, you put your hands down. It's just incredible. You know, when you drive even in the town of Oyster Bay and you see all of the street signs, all of the name changes, all of the memorials, it is just incredible. And we should never lose sight of how personal, how very, very personal this was. It took from our midst the very people that grew up with us right here, even in Massapequa alone. There were so many people who learned to ride their bikes on the same streets we did, hung out at All-American, or went to the same movies we did, got their first kiss, drove their first car. It was so deeply personal, and that's why it's so important that we have a memorial at this location. That was the thinking behind it. Gentlemen, that was a reminder that after the first plane collided with Tower 1, that at 9:03 a.m. that morning, the second plane collided with Tower 2. There was no longer any doubt in anyone's mind what was going on at that point. All right. I think what we'll do is we have here. Whoops. I'm going to call upon Scouting Liaison, Christopher Genovese, a member of the Towers of Freedom 9/11 Military Monument, for some remarks. Christopher?
Good morning, and thank you very much, Supervisor Vendetto. It is truly an honor to be a part of this ceremony and to be a part of this monument. I was asked to join the committee to help bring the message and the spirit of this place and this day to the scouting community, which ties in very nicely with Supervisor Vendetto's remarks about the young people. And if we are truly to remember and keep this day and this event in our memory, it will be through the efforts and the energy and the spirit of the young people. And it is those Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of our community that often grow up and become the future firefighters, law enforcement officials, and supervisors and politicians that help become the future leaders of our country. And as a member of the board, the Towers of Freedom Military Monument, I will strive to bring those scouting troops into this effort. And a number of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts from around Long Island have helped out in the past in our Memorial Day ceremony. Several of those leaders are unable to be here today, but they were good enough to leave us with a brief note that I'd like to read to you. To the Towers of Freedom Military Monument Committee, I was extremely honored to be asked to represent the Girl Scouts of America and present a wreath at the 9/11 memorial service at the Towers of Freedom Military Monument. As a new freshman at Hofstra University, I will be attending classes today and unfortunately unable to attend. My thoughts and prayers will be with you and the families of those lost on 9/11 and those that continue to be affected because of their heroism on that day. We will never forget. Sincerely, Alexandra Genovese, 2015 Girl Scout Gold Award recipient. To the Committee of the Towers of Freedom, we are sorry we are unable to attend today. However, please know that you are all in our thoughts. We know the significance of the Towers of Freedom in preserving the memory of those lost as a result of the September 11 attacks. We mourn those who perished as first responders, but also celebrate them, as their courage and loyalty to our country is an example to all of us. On this day, we will keep the memory of those lost in our hearts. We will continue to cherish the freedom we have and those who offer their lives to protect it. Most importantly, we will remember the greatness and the resilience of this country and its strength in the face of adversity. Mark Fedorenko, Senior Patrol Leader, Troop 590. It is truly very special to have these young people think this way. These are young people that were not involved or even able to remember this day, but because of the efforts and the energy of the Towers of Freedom Committee, it will be forever in their hearts and minds. Thank you very much.
Very well done. We now have a member of my post, American Legion Post 1066, who will be tolling the bell once again, and this time to honor all of those brave, is an understatement, men and women who have been fighting and are continuing to fight the war on terror. Thank you. You know, ladies and gentlemen, our veterans are always there, standing here the whole time. The gun salute team out on the field. Whenever you call on them, they always respond. Our uniforms may not fit as well as they used to, but they always answer the call. No matter what the issue, no matter where in this town an issue arises, they are always there to assist and to guide us. Let's hear it one more time for the veterans. They deserve that. Now I think a segment of the program which everyone enjoys. He's just such a great guy. I really don't have the adjectives. He is, in every sense of these words, certainly what the town of Oyster Bay, what our communities and what our nation is all about. He's just a good guy, and he's going to be here to read a poem which his own 15-year-old daughter prepared. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he's with us every year. Please welcome Steve Constantino. Steve?
Thank you very much, Mr. Venditto. To begin with, I just want to say how awed I am to be in the presence of such greatness from so many different generations, all of whom have sacrificed the innocence of youth to protect this great nation from adversaries ranging from the Nazis and the Axis powers in World War II right up until the present day where we battle ISIS throughout the world and Islamic terrorists. I want to say what a privilege it is to be standing on the same stage as such patriots as Tom Smith, Supervisor Venditto. And it is true that my daughter authored this poem. And if you notice, her name is not on the poem. And there's a reason for that. Because the poem does not belong to my daughter or my family. The poem belongs to the people of this great nation. And State Senator Venditto echoed those words as best as they could be. This poem is about one thing. No matter what you may bring to this country, no matter what generation you may bring it to, no matter where you may bring it, and no matter what pain you may attempt to inflict on us, we will never bow, and that flag will always stand proudly over this great land. So with that in mind, I recite the following. There once were two towers that reached for the sky, that terror took down to make democracy cry. Death and destruction, their cowardly goal, to mortally wound America's soul. The towers were manned by all different kinds, the bravest, the finest, the purest young minds. Yet the purpose of terror would not be fulfilled, for the souls in the tower could never be killed. Though taken from sight, those souls remain near, protecting their brethren from terror's dark fear. They live in a people that never say die, who rise to their best when others would cry. Their spirits are more than buildings or shrines. They're the beacons of freedom whose light brightly shines. And though those towers may now be just broken steel slag, above them still flies the American flag.
I suspect all of you noticed what I noticed, that Steve recited that entire poem without a script. I thought that was interesting. Great job, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah, refugee representative. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my fault. All right.